Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Tato Jayam Udire.
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu.
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Ruttama Sloke.
Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 Chapter 9 Verse 41. Muniganandrupavarya Sankulenta.
Munigana Niripavarya Sankulenatha.
Sadasi Yudhishthira Rajasuya Esham.
Sadasi Yudhishthira Rajasuya Esham.
Arhanam Upapeda Ikshaniyo.
Arhanam Upapeda Ikshaniyo.
Mama Drishi Gochara Esha Aviratma.
Mama Drishi Gochara Esha Aviratma.
Muniganandrupavarya Sankulenta.
Munigana Niripavarya Sankuletha.
Sadasi Yudhishthira Rajasuya Esham.
Sadasi Yudhishthira Rajasuya Esham.
Arhanam Upapeda Ikshaniyo.
Arhanam Upapeda Ikshaniyo.
Mama Drishi Gochara Esha Aviratma.
Mama Drishi Gochara Isha Aviratma.
Muniganandrupavarya Sankulenta.
Munigana Niripavarya Sankuletha.
Sadasi Yudhishthira Rajasuya Esham.
Sadasi Yudhishthira Rajasuya Esham.
Arhanam Upapeda Ikshaniyo.
Arhanam Upapeda Ikshaniyo.
Mama Drishi Gochara Esha Aviratma.
Mama Drishi Gochara Esha Aviratma.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Synonyms: Munigana, the great learned sages.
Munigana, the great learned sages.
Nripavarya, the great ruling kings.
Nripavarya, the great ruling kings.
Shankule, in the great assembly of.
Sankule, in the great assembly of.
Anta Sadasi, conference.
Anta Sadasi, conference.
Yudhishthira of Emperor Yudhishthira.
Yudhishthira of Emperor Yudhishthira.
Rajasuye, a royal performance of sacrifice.
Rajasuye, a royal performance of sacrifice.
Esham, of all the great elites.
Esham, of all the great elites.
Arhanam, a respectful worship.
Arhanam, respectful worship.
Upapeda, received.
Upapeda, received.
Ikshaniya, the object of attraction.
Ikshaniya, the object of attraction.
Mama, my.
Mama, my.
Drishi, sight.
Drishi, sight.
Gochara, within the view of.
Gochara, within the view of.
Esha Avi, personally present.
Esha Avi, personally present.
Atma, the soul.
Atma, the soul.
Translation, please repeat after me. At the Rajasuya Yajna sacrifice performed by Maharaja Yudhishthira,
At the Rajasuya Yagna sacrifice performed by Maharaja Yudhishthira,
there was the greatest assembly of all the elite men of the world.
there was the greatest assembly of all the elite men of the world.
The royal and learned scholar orders, sorry.
The royal and learned orders.
And in the great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was worshipped by one and all as the most exalted personality of Godhead.
And in that great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was worshipped by one and all as the most exalted personality of Godhead.
This happened during my presence.
This happened during my presence.
And I remembered the incident in order to keep my mind upon the Lord.
And I remembered the incident in order to keep my mind upon the Lord. Purport. After gaining victory in the battle of Kurukshetra, Maharaja Yudhishthira, the emperor of the world, performed the Rajasuya sacrificial ceremony. The emperor in those days, upon his ascendance to the throne, would send a challenge horse all over the world to declare his supremacy, and any ruling prince or king was at liberty to accept the challenge and express his tacit willingness either to obey or to disobey the supremacy of the particular emperor. One who accepted the challenge had to fight with the emperor and establish his own supremacy by victory. The defeated king would have to sacrifice his life, making a place for another king or ruler. So, Maharaja Yudhishthira also dispatched such challenging horses all over the world, and every ruling prince and king all over the world accepted Maharaja Yudhishthira's leadership as the emperor of the world. After this, all rulers of the world under the regime of Maharaja Yudhishthira were invited to participate in the great sacrificial ceremony of Rajasuya.
Just a second.
Go on.
Such performances required hundreds of millions of dollars, and it was not an easy job for a petty king. Such a sacrificial ceremony, being too expensive and also difficult to perform under present circumstances, is now impossible in this age of Kali. Nor can anyone secure the required expert priesthood to take charge of the ceremony. So after being invited, all the kings and great learned sages of the world assembled in the capital of Maharaja Yudhishthira. The learned society, including the great philosophers, religionists, physicians, scientists, and all great sages was invited. That is to say, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas were the topmost leading men in society, and they were all invited to participate in the assembly. The Vaishyas and Shudras were unimportant elements in society, and they are not mentioned herein. Due to the change of social activities in the modern age, the importance of men has also changed in terms of occupational positions. So in that great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was the cynosure of neighboring eyes. Everyone wanted to see Lord Krishna, and everyone wanted to pay his humble respects to the Lord. Bhishma Deva remembered all this and was glad that his worshipful Lord, the personality of Godhead, was present before him in his actual formal presence. So to meditate on the Supreme Lord is to meditate on the activities, form, pastimes, name, and fame of the Lord. That is easier than what is imagined as meditation on the impersonal feature of the Supreme. In the Bhagavad Gita 12.5, it is clearly stated that to meditate upon the impersonal feature of the Supreme is very difficult. It is practically no meditation or simply a waste of time because very seldom is the desired result obtained. The devotees, however, meditate upon the Lord's factual form and pastimes, and therefore the Lord is easily approachable by the devotees. This is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita 12.9. The Lord is non different from his transcendental activities. It is indicated also in this shloka that Lord Sri Krishna, while actually present before human society, especially in connection with the Battle of Kurukshetra, was accepted as the greatest personality of the time, although he might not have been recognized as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The propaganda that a very great man is worshipped as God after his death is misleading because a man after his death cannot be made into God. Nor can the personality of Godhead be a human being, even when he is personally present. Both ideas are misconceptions. The idea of anthropomorphism cannot be applicable in the case of Lord Krishna.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swamin Iti Namine Namo Acharya Padaya Nitaya Kripa Pradhayine Gaurakatha Dhamadhaya Nagara Grama Tarine Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadhe Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hariharaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Hare Gopal Govindaram Sri Madhusudanam Namukam Karodi Vachalam Pangun Langai Tegirim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatharinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. So this is again a very beautiful verse that how and all Bhishma Pitama is meditating on Krishna, just like Sri Kunti Devi was remembering all sphere of her life where Krishna was present. Similarly, Bhishma is also remembering where all he met Krishna, personally, where Krishna's pastime was going on, and Bhishma Dev was also part of that pastime, present in that pastime, witnessing and acting accordingly. So he is trying to remember all the different situations in his life where he met Krishna, and then he is remembering, trying to fix his mind on that personality of God at Krishna, and Krishna is also standing right in front of him. And Srila Prabhupada is explaining here what is a Rajasuya Yajna or Ashwamedha Yajna. So, emperor, after conquering all directions, he used to send horses in different directions in the world to challenge other Kshatriya kings that either they accept the supremacy of this king or they declare war against him. And when they declare war against him, then there will be fight again. And in that fight, either one of the king only will return live. So this is Kshatriya Dharma. And they generally do that. And during this Yudhishthira also it is done. And upon returning of this particular horses, they, make a very big sacrifice when yajna that takes in lots and lots of money. And in that yajna, they prove the supremacy. So here in this yajna, Krishna was actually considered the supreme personality. So this is a very noteworthy point. That is why Bhishma wants to mention this, because this is not to provide Yudhishthira supremacy over the victory or the kingdom. Rather, it was actually in the sacrifice, Krishna was made the supreme personality of God. It is written after Kurukshetra. Yeah.
Even before, when Mrs. Father was killed,
that was when
Indraprastha.
Yeah, Indraprastha. That was not after Kurukshetra. So Yudhishthira's leadership as the emperor of the world was also done in the similar way, and wherein after this war, he has also sent horses in all directions. And all the rulers of the world under Maharaja Yudhishthira, they were invited to participate in the great sacrificial ceremony of Rajasuya Yajna. So this Rajasuya Yajna is very expensive actually, and it is not possible by any government today to conduct one Rajasuya Yajna in this world. Okay, so Yudhishthira was capable of doing it, and he did one. And such a Rajasuya Yajna that, it's a very, very grand in the sense that we can't even express in words. And after being invited, all the kings and great learned sages of the world assembled in the capital of Maharaja Yudhishthira. Auspiciousness comes when the great personalities arrive. And Krishna himself was present in the Rajasuya Yajna. It is beneficiary to the whole world. It is not just beneficiary to family. Okay, it is the whole world. That is the way the king rules, providing auspiciousness and piety to every citizen of the world, irrespective of which class they belong to. And all great whoever greatest personalities, they were all present there. And at that time, Varnashrama Dharma was reinstated. And so when we say all greatest personality, so it included two classes, as Prabhupada says here. One is Kshatriya and another is Brahmana, the highest caste. So they are there. Vaishnavas everywhere, anytime. So everyone wanted to see Lord Krishna. This is another beauty of this. So he was the, cynosure of neighboring eyes. Every eyes, those who see Krishna, they can't take their eyes off in the Rajasuya Yajna. So beautiful, grandly decorated. And Krishna is naturally all attractive. And Bhishma Deva wants to remember all this. And he was, very glad that, that personality of Godhead, who is the greatest of all, he is right now present before him in his actual formal presence. So this is really, Bhishma Dev considers himself very fortunate, and he wants to meditate on that personality of Godhead. So in order to meditate on the activities, form, pastimes, name, fame, everything, this is the beauty that Bhishma Dev is trying to remember everywhere he saw Krishna in his life, and either on the opposite side or in the same side, doesn't matter. But wherever he saw Krishna, is remembering everything, just like Kunti Maharani was remembering every event where Krishna was present in their life. People generally don't forget their miserable situation. But here, these people you are seeing, they don't forget Krishna. They forgot their miserable situation. If they remember the miserable situation, it's only because Krishna was present, and that was so sweet and that was so nectarian. And they wanted that situation again and again because they can see Krishna. This is the difference between, non-devotee and devotee. So practically, there is no meditation. Is possible in this Kali Yuga, and only performance of devotional service is the only means to attain the perfection in the life. Now, you see, even in that time, 5,000 years ago, Bhishma, Kunti, everybody, they were meditating on Krishna only. They were meditating on Krishna all the time. So, that means devotees can approach the Lord very easily. Bhaktya mama vijanati. So, because Lord is not different from his transcendental activities, janma karma chame divyam, and he is not different from his name, form, qualities, anything. And Sri Krishna, he was present before human society, especially in connection with the battle of Kurukshetra, was accepted as the greatest personality of the time. So maybe people didn't recognize him as the supreme personality of Godhead, but at least he was considered the greatest personality of his time. So this is a very, very important point to note down here, that how wonderfully Bhishma Dev is trying to remember the whole Rajasuya Yajna, keeping Krishna in the center. And why he is remembering Rajasuya Yajna? Because Krishna was, the most elite personality announced in the Rajasuya Yajna. Not Yudhishthira was announced to be the greatest emperor there. Krishna was emperor. So this is unique yajna that doesn't happen very often, and it is supposed to happen every time. So this is a very, very unique and huge. So Bhishma Dev is remembering and meditating on that particular form of Krishna, and the Krishna is, standing right in front of him. So Bhishma wanted to remember all this, and he was very glad that the Lord is present before him. You want to add?
Yes. So, very wonderful verse. So only one point I would like to add. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurvanmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai. So here, how the supremacy of the king is established in the world is mentioned, is very noteworthy. The supremacy of the king is that he will send an horse and he will say that you just need to accept my supremacy. And the kings have to agree, and once they agree, then his supremacy is established. That's a very simple process. And that is why Prabhupada says that even Parikshit Maharaj was there, a single king for the whole world. For the entire Bharatavarsha, there was only one king. And that was Parikshit later. And now for the entire Bharatavarsha, there is only one king, and that is Yudhishthira. How he became the king nowadays? What generally people think? The king will go to another kingdom. He will fight with the king. He will kidnap all the princesses and he will rape the ladies, loot the kingdom. Then he will kill the king. Then he will become the king, or he will appoint his men as the king in that kingdom. This is the brutal understanding of actual Kshatriya Dharma, or after ruling of the entire world. Very, very simple process. Already there are kings. Already the kingdom is going on peacefully, nicely. Nobody is disturbed. Nobody is disturbed unless otherwise the king is refusing the supremacy. So when the Hashemeh, sacrifice is being done, and the horse is being sent, and the person who is sending is a very righteous devotee, then all the kings naturally agree. They naturally, the portraying of who the Kshatriya is actually very, very wrong, especially on even the other Vedic scriptures, because there is no devotion exclusive. When we have devotion exclusive here, we understand that somebody is a Vaishnava and he is qualified. All the other kings agree, not just because he won the Kurukshetra war. No, not because of he won the Kurukshetra war, but because of his righteous quality, mainly he is the devotee. The religious principle has to be established in the world. And if the king is very favorable and he is a good representative of God, Manu Samhita says that Prabhupada is mentioning in the purports that the king is the representative of God. Once in Shakti Avesh, even the Manus. So the king has some responsibility. And when they see that righteousness is not right and wrong of this world, the original righteousness must be a devotee of the Lord. Being a devotee of the Lord and should guide the citizens to take up Krishna consciousness. To take up, not engage them in sense gratification and further entangle them and take them into lower species or higher species. Sometimes higher species based on Vedic scriptures, but based on Bhagavata Dharma, it is actually devotional service, liberating everybody gradually. Gradually, even a person takes one step towards liberation, then that is considered success. So here, it is not because the Duryodhana and party cannot give a good administration. They can give a good administration in terms of food, shelter, recreation, and facilities for sense gratification. That is not the criteria of a king. The king is the representative of the Lord, and he knows very clearly we are not the body, we are spirit, soul, and we are entangled in this material world. And its citizens has to pave a way based on the scriptures in order to go back home, back to God. Gradually, they should elevate themselves into better positions, not just materially, spiritually. This is very essential factor. So when a king is very righteous and a nice devotee of the Lord, every other king will be very happy to work under him. It is not that this is my land, this is your land, and I am a king, I am a Kshatriya, I have chivalry, I will exhibit my chivalry, I am a Kshatriya, I will come and fight with you, I will kill you, and I will take over your kingdom. After taking over your kingdom, I will rape all the girls there or marry some prince there. Shameless activities. Shameless, ruthless. This is not Kshatriya. As many times the problem is when the movies are shown or the serials are shown and they are taken by non-devotees, the dialogues are written, the consciousness is completely polluted. It's the output of a polluted consciousness. So we see here very simple, even very, very nicely we were discussing. I was also thinking about this agriculture. Like Prabhupada said that we should have our agricultural projects. So how simple it is that how many agricultural land will you acquire? How many land will you transfer in your name? Instead, we go to the already existing people who are doing agriculture, cultivate them, teach them Krishna consciousness, they become devotees and they are submissive to the Krishna consciousness and they are submissive to Guru and they take up spirituality. Then we have agricultural community readily available instead of going and occupying. So same way here we see even the kings, they don't fight for occupying the land. It is not the land or supremacy to be shown. It is that the religious principle or a similar code of conduct. For example, if a king wants to establish Ekadashi, has to be the holiday, nobody will work. Ekadashi, all the market and everything should be on holiday. Everybody, and there should be a lot of Krishna Katha and programs on recreation programs, dramas and everything based on Krishna consciousness. So that people will remember on Ekadashi and some extra facilities for them to break the Dwadasi fast. That nice facility and a special worship on Ekadashi in the temples. In this way, special programs reminding Krishna's pastimes in the temples or and for citizens. In this way, if a king is establishing, because he's a Vaishnava, then all the other things will be very happy to take his supremacy, because the code of conduct will be very, very favorable for nicely executing Krishna consciousness. If you come to Mayapur, you can see these kind of features where people stand in queue. If you come to Darshanarthi, Mangalarti to Darshanarthi, you will see that how systematically, how elegantly it is done, that automatically you are put into a process of following the 64 of Angas of Bhakti. All the 64 of Angas of Bhakti, like a joy or a gain, you will casually be part of it. They don't know that you're getting liberated. If you take Nectar of Devotion, you will see that every paragraph is written about each Anga of Bhakti. And every paragraph says that a person gets liberated and he goes into a very, very elevated position simply by doing that particular single activity, like for example, drinking Charnamrit, or wearing the garland which is given to the Lord, or offering flowers to a pure devotee, or any service to a pure devotee. In this way, every Anga of Bhakti is very systematically done here, so that casually we are part of it and we don't know even what we are getting. Same way, a king is supposed to keep the citizens, not that a Kshatriya, Vaishya means they will be doing business and the law and this and that, how to improve the business and this. No, no. Each one will do their duty. Guna karma vibhagasha. Chaturvarna. Because it is guna, they do according the karma, according to their guna, they are very comfortable. Very, very comfortable. There is nothing uneasy they feel. I don't know this task, I need to do it, I need to improve my business, this, that, and all. No. Everything is systematically done very nicely. So only this portion of administration is considered Kshatriya, where the society will have good food, good shelter, and all, how Vaishya can improve, what currency they have to fit, and this and that. These kind of administration is Dhritarashtra's administration or Duryodhana's administration. What is Yudhishthira's administration is establishing the Dharma and worship of Krishna. He is a devotee of the Lord. Not only he is the devotee of the Lord, he encourages his citizens and arranges systems and law in favor of practicing Krishna consciousness. That is the king. So we see here, like, so we should be very careful in understanding who the Kshatriya means, original king means, why they agree to the supremacy, and how the supremacy is established, not by war or fighting or killing and taking over the kingdom. By all this, whatever is projected in generally as a king or a Kshatriya is actually wrong. Is wrong. So generally, even the Sita Devi's father, Janaka Maharaj, is considered to be Mahajana. Ambarish Maharaj was considered Mahajana. Prahlad Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj was completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. He was ruling the kingdom very successfully, not failure. Very successfully. There may be some other king who is a non-devotee and he would like to take over by war. When he comes, then Sudarshan Chakra is protecting the king. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Yejana Pariyupasate Tesham Nitya Abhiktanam Yogakshamam Bhavana. So a person who is an expert Kshatriya, better than that is a person who is a Vaishnava. The reason is the Vaishnava is beyond the bodily concept. He is totally liberated and he is ruling. Janaka Maharaj is called as what? Mahajan, and one more word is that. In Bhagavad Gita, he is mentioned a special Janaka Maharaj and Asita, Devala, Vyasa, Janaka. Maharaja is mentioned, Raja Rishi. Raja Rishi. They are Raja, but they are Rishi. How it is possible? They are Vaishnavas. They know that everything is happening. Vishnu is the protector. Vishnu is the protector. So without any other thought, if somebody is involved in Krishna consciousness, then very nicely, Krishna is the only Ekala Ishvara Krishna. There is only one Ishvara. Everybody is Dasa, Baba. Everybody is Dasa. So very, very humbly they were taking up that responsibility of being a Vaishnava and establishing Vaishnava culture in the society. This is very, very, Vaishnava culture is not simply Tilak and Kantimala. Vaishnava culture is gradually taking all the citizens back home, back to God, and arranging such programs everywhere. So this is what is I would like to add. That's it.
Hi, so today is wonderful and auspicious day of Giriraj Maharaj appearance day. So all of you unmute and let us chant the pranam mantra, and in your mind you hold some wonderful flower to offer to the Giri Govardhan, and those who are having flower can take the flower and offer to Giri Govardhan when they say Esha Pushpanjali. So we will do the pranam mantra first, and then we will read the Govardhan chapter from Krishna book one by one all. Namaste Girirajaya
Namaste Girirajaya
Govardhan iti namine
Govardhana iti namine
Asesha klesha nasaya
Asesha
Nashaya
Paramananda daine Giriraj Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Pushpanjali. So this is Giri Govardhan's wonderful pranam mantra. We offer obeisances on this auspicious day to Giri Govardhan. How to worship Govardhana hill is directed by Lord Krishna directly to Nanda Baba and others. And there's a very beautiful argument going on between son and father to defeat the father's argument put forth in worshipping the demigod by Lord Krishna. And then Krishna made the same arrangement directed towards Govardhan, and he taught them how to worship. Very beautiful. So let us start reading it one by one. Worshipping Govardhana hill, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, chapter 24. Yeah, please go on one by one, each one read one paragraph or three paragraphs like that.
Worshipping Govardhana hill. While engaged with the Brahmanas who were too much involved in the performance of Vedic sacrifices, Krishna and Balarama also saw that the cowherd men were preparing a similar sacrifice in order to pacify Indra, the king of heaven, who is responsible for supplying water. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, a devotee of Krishna has strong and firm faith in the understanding that if he is simply engaged in Krishna consciousness and Krishna's transcendental loving service, then he is freed from all other obligations. A pure devotee of Lord Krishna doesn't have to perform any of the ritualistic functions enjoined in the Vedas, nor is he required to worship any demigods. Being a devotee of Lord Krishna, one is understood to have performed all kinds of Vedic rituals and all kinds of worship to the demigods. One does not develop devotional service for Krishna by performing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or worshipping the demigods, but it should be understood that one who is engaged fully in the service of the Lord has already fulfilled all Vedic injunctions. In order to stop all such activities by his devotees, Krishna wanted to firmly establish exclusive devotional service during his presence in Vrindavana. Because he is the omniscient personality of Godhead, Krishna knew that the cowherd men were preparing for the Indra sacrifice, but as a matter of etiquette, he began to inquire with great honor and submission from elder personalities like Maharaja Nanda.
Krishna asked his father, "My dear father, what is this arrangement going on for a great sacrifice? What is the result of such a sacrifice, and for whom is it meant? How is it performed? Will you kindly let me know? I am very eager to know this procedure. So please explain to me the purpose of this sacrifice." Upon this inquiry, his father Nanda Maharaj remained silent, thinking that his young boy would not be able to understand the intricacies of performing the yajna. Krishna, however, persisted, "My dear father, for those who are liberal and saintly, there is no secrecy. They do not think anyone to be a friend, an enemy, or a neutral party, because they are always open to everyone. And even for those who are not so liberal, nothing should be kept secret from the family members and friends, although secrecy may be maintained for persons who are inimical. Therefore, you cannot keep any secrets from me. All persons are engaged in fruitive activities. Some know what these activities are and they know the result, and some execute activities without knowing the purpose or the result. A person who acts with full knowledge gets the full result, or who acts without knowledge does not get such a perfect result. Therefore, please let me know the purpose of the sacrifice you are going to perform. Is it according to Vedic injunction, or is it simply a popular ceremony? Kindly let me know in detail about the sacrifice.
On hearing this inquiry from Krishna, Maharaja Nanda replied, "My dear boy, this ceremonial performance is more or less traditional because rainfall is due to the mercy of King Indra and the clouds are his representatives. And because water is so important for our living, we must show some gratitude to the controller of this rainfall, Maharaja Indra. We are arranging therefore to pacify King Indra because he has very kindly sent us clouds to pour down a sufficient quantity of rain for successful agriculture activities. Water is very important. Without rainfall, we cannot farm or produce grain, and without grain, we cannot live. Therefore, rain is necessary for successful religious ceremonies, economic development, and ultimately liberation. So, we should not give up this traditional ceremonial function. If one gives it up, being influenced by lust, greed, or fear, then it does not look very good for him. After hearing this, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the presence of his father and all the elder cowherd of Vrindavana, spoke in such a way as to make the heavenly King Indra very angry. He suggested that they forego the sacrifice. His reasons for discouraging the sacrifice performed to please Indra were twofold. First, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, there is no need to worship the demigods for any material advancement. All results derived from worshipping the demigods are simply temporary, and only those who are less intelligent are interested in temporary results. Second, whatever temporary result one derives from worshipping the demigods is actually granted by the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Mayaiva Vihitan Hitan. Whatever benefit is supposed to be derived from the demigods is actually bestowed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot bestow any benefit upon others. But sometimes the demigods become puffed up by the influence of material nature, thinking themselves all in all. They forget the supremacy of the personality of Godhead. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated that in this instance, Krishna wanted to make King Indra angry. Krishna's advent was specially meant for the annihilation of the demons and protection of the devotees. King Indra was certainly a devotee, not a demon. But because he was puffed up, Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson. He first made Indra angry by stopping the Indra Puja, which had been arranged by the cowherd men in Vrindavana.
With this purpose in mind, Krishna began to talk as if he were an atheist supporting the philosophy of Karma Mimamsa. Advocates of this philosophy do not accept the supreme authority of the personality of Godhead. They put forward the argument that if anyone works nicely, the result is sure to come. Their opinion is that even if there is a God who gives man the result of his fruitive activities, there is no need to worship him, because unless man works, he cannot bestow any good result. They say they say that instead of worshipping a demigod or god, people should give attention to their own duties, and thus the good result will surely come. Lord Krishna began to speak to his father according to these principles of the Karma Mimamsa philosophy. My dear father, he said, I don't think you need to worship any demigod for the successful performance of your agricultural activities. Every living being is born according to his past karma and leaves this life simply taking the result of his present karma. Everyone is born in different types or species of life according to his past activities, and he gets his birth according to the activities of his life. Different grades of material happiness and distress, comforts and disadvantages of life are different results of different kinds of activities from either the past or present life. Maharaja Nanda and other elder members argued that without satisfying the predominating God, one cannot derive any good result simply by material activities. This is actually the fact. For example, it is sometimes found it is I cannot get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes found that in spite of first-class medical help and treatment by a first-class physician, a diseased person dies. It is concluded, therefore, that first-class medical treatment or the attempts of a first-class physician are not in themselves the cause of curing a patient. There must be the hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, a father's and mother's taking care of their children is not the cause of children's comfort. Sometimes it is found that in spite of all care by the parents, the children go bad or succumb to death. Therefore, material causes are not sufficient for results. There must be the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nanda Maharaj therefore advocated that in order to get good results for agricultural activities, they must satisfy Indra, the superintending deity of the rain supply. Lord Krishna nullified this argument, saying that the demigods give results only to persons who have executed their prescribed duties. The demigods cannot give any result to a person who has not executed the prescribed duties. Therefore, demigods are dependent on the execution of duties and are not absolute in awarding good result to anyone. So, why would one care about them? My dear father, Lord Krishna said, there is no need to worship the demigod Indra. Everyone has to achieve the result of his own work. We can actually see that one becomes busy according to the natural tendency of his work. And according to that natural tendency, all living entities, whether human beings or demigods, achieve their respective results. All living entities achieve higher or lower bodies and create enemies, friends, or neutral parties only because of their different kinds of work. One should be careful to discharge duties according to his natural instinct and not divert attention to the worship of various demigods. The demigods will be satisfied by proper execution of all duties, so there is no need to worship them. Let us rather perform our prescribed duties very nicely. Actually, one cannot be happy without executing his proper prescribed duties. One who does not therefore properly discharge his prescribed duties is compared to an unchaste wife. The proper prescribed duties of the Brahmanas is the study of Vedas. The proper duty of the royal order, the Kshatriyas, is engagement in protecting the citizens. The proper duty of a Vaishya community is agricultural trade and protection of the cows. And the proper duty of the Shudras is service to the higher classes, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. We belong to the Vaishya community, and our proper duty is to farm, trade agriculture, produce, and protect cows, or to take to banking.
Krishna identified himself with the Vaishya community because Nanda Maharaj was protecting many cows and Krishna was taking care of them. He enumerated 4 kinds of business engagements for the Vaishya community, namely agriculture, trade, protection of cows, and banking. Although the Vaishyas can take to any of these occupations, the men of Vrindavana were engaged primarily in the protection of cows. Krishna further explained to his father, this cosmic manifestation is going on under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. These 3 modes are the causes of creation, maintenance, and destruction. The cloud is caused by the action of the mode of passion. Therefore, it is the mode of passion which causes the rainfall. And after the rainfall, the living entities derive the result, success in agricultural work. What then has Indra to do with this affair? Even if you don't please Indra, what can he do? We don't derive any special benefit from Indra. Even if he is there, he pours water on the ocean also, where there is no need of water. So he is pouring water on the ocean or on the land. It does not depend on our worshipping him. As far as we are concerned, we don't need to go to another city or village or foreign country. There are palatial buildings in the cities, but we are satisfied living in this forest of Vrindavana. Our specific relationship is with Govardhana Hill and Vrindavana forest and nothing more. I therefore request you, my dear father, to begin a sacrifice which will satisfy the local Brahmanas and Govardhana Hill and this have nothing to do with Indra. After hearing this statement by Krishna, Nanda Maharaja replied, my dear boy, since you are asking, I shall arrange for a separate sacrifice for the local Brahmanas and Govardhana Hill. But for the present, let me execute this sacrifice known as Indra Yajna. But Krishna replied, my dear father, don't delay. The sacrifice you propose for Govardhana and the local Brahmanas will take much time. Better take the arrangement and paraphernalia you have already made for the Indra Yajna and immediately engage them to satisfy Govardhana Hill and the local Brahmanas. Maharaja Nanda finally relented.
Maharaja Nanda finally relented. The coward men then inquired from Krishna how he wanted the yajna performed. And Krishna gave them the following directions. Prepare very nice foods of all descriptions from the grain and ghee collected for the yajna. Prepare rice, dal, then halwa, pakora, puri, and all kinds of milk preparations, such as sweet rice, rabri, sweet balls, sandesha, rasgulla, and laddu. And invite the learned brahmanas who can chant the Vedic hymns and offer oblation to the fire. The brahmanas should be given all kinds of grain in charity. Then decorate all the cows and feed them well. After performing this, give money in charity to the brahmanas. As far as the lower animals are concerned, such as dogs and lower grades of people, such as chandalas or the 5th class of men who are considered untouchable, they also may be given some prasadam. After nice grasses have been given to the cows, the sacrifice known as Govardhana Puja may immediately begin. This sacrifice will very much satisfy me. In this statement, Lord Krishna practically describes the whole economy of the Vaishya community. In all communities in human society, including the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, and Chandalas, etc., and in the animal kingdom, including the cows, dogs, goats, etc., everyone has his part to play. Each is to work in cooperation for the total benefit of all society, which include not only animate objects, but also inanimate objects like hills and land. The Vaishya community is specifically responsible for the economic development of the society. producing grain, by giving protection to the cows, by transporting food when needed, and by banking and finance.
From this statement, we learn also that although the cats and dogs, which have become so important, are not to be neglected, cow protection more important than protection of cats and dogs. Another hint, this statement is that the candles or the untouchable are also neglected by the higher classes and should be given necessary protection. Everyone is important, but some are directly responsible for the advancement of human society, and some are only indirectly responsible. However, when Krishna consciousness is there, then everyone's total benefit is taken care of. The sacrifice known as Govardhan Puja is observed in the Krishna consciousness movement. Lord Chaitanya has recommended that worship so his land Vrindavan and Govardhan hill worshipable. To confirm this statement, Lord Krishna and said that Govardhan Puja is as good as worship of him. From that day, Govardhan Puja has been going on and is known as Anput. In all the temples of Vrindavan or outside of Vrindavan, huge quantities of food are prepared in this ceremony and are very sumptuously distributed to the general population. Sometimes the food is thrown to the crowds and they enjoy collecting it off the ground. From this, we can understand that prasadam offered to Krishna never becomes polluted or contempt, even if it is thrown on the ground. The people therefore collect and eat it with great satisfaction. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna thus advised the cowherd men to stop the Indra Yagya and begin the Govardhan Puja in order to castigate Indra, who was very much puffed up to being the supreme controller of the heavenly planets. The honest and simple cowherd men, headed by Nand Maharaj, accepted Krishna's proposal and executed in detail everything he advised. They performed Govardhan worship and circumambulation of the hill. Following the inauguration of Govardhan Puja, people in Vrindavan still dress nicely and assemble near Govardhan Hill to offer worship and circumambulate the hill, leading their cows all around. According to the instruction of Lord Krishna, Nand Maharaj and the cowherd men called in learned Brahmanas and began to worship Govardhan Hill by chanting Vedic hymns and offering prasadam. The inhabitants of Vrindavan assembled together, decorated their cows and gave them grass, keeping the cows in front. They began to circumambulate Govardhan Hill. The gopis dressed themselves very luxuriantly and sat in bull-driven carts, chanting the glories of Krishna's pastime. The Brahmanas assembled there to act as priests for Govardhan Puja, offered their blessing to the cowherd men and their wives and gopis.
When everything was complete, Krishna assumed a great transcendental form and declared to the inhabitants of Vrindavan that he was himself Govardhan Hill in order to convince the devotees that Govardhan Hill and Krishna himself are identical. Then Krishna began to eat all the food offered there. The identity of Krishna and Govardhan Hill is still honored, and great devotees take rocks from Govardhan Hill and worship them exactly as they worship the deity of Krishna in the temples. The followers of the Krishna consciousness movement may therefore collect some rocks or pebbles from Govardhan Hill and worship them at home, because this worship is as good as deity worship. The form of Krishna who began to eat the offerings was separately constituted, and Krishna himself, along with the other inhabitants of Vrindavan, offered obeisances to the deity as well as Govardhan Hill. In offering obeisances, to the used form of Krishna and Govardhan Hill, Krishna declared, "Just see how Govardhan Hill has assumed this used form and is favoring us by accepting all the offerings." Krishna also declared at that meeting, "One who neglects the worship of Govardhan Puja, as I am personally conducting it, will not be happy. There are many snakes on Govardhan Hill, and persons neglecting the prescribed duty of Govardhan Puja will be bitten by these snakes and killed." In order to assure the good fortune of the cows and themselves, all people of Vrindavan near Govardhan must worship the hill as prescribed by me. Thus, performing the Govardhan Puja sacrifice, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan followed the instructions of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, and afterwards they returned to their respective homes. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 24th chapter of Krishna, worshipping Govardhan Hill.
Hari Om Tat Sat. So very wonderful, wonderful pastime of Giri Govardhan. So today, prepare Annakut and offer to the Lord and chant the Pranam Mantra. Namaste Giri Rajaya Govardhana Iti Namine Asesa Klesha Nasaya Paramananda Dayine. And offer flowers and huge Annakut ceremony and distribute and eat very sumptuously, very happily the prasadam, Mahaprasadam. Krishna himself has recommended personally, and he himself personally present as Govardhan and accepting all these things. And they're actually in Vrindavan, when they all brought everything that has been cooked and prepared for Indra Puja, they bought everything and worshipped Govardhana, and then they had given that to Govardhana. After Govardhana is eating, as Krishna says, you see, Govardhana has come in a huge form and accepting all our offering. So he accepted, and then Govardhana from the top, Krishna went on to the top as Govardhana and he ate all. And then there was sound from the Govardhana coming, Aniyor, Aniyor. So that means
Harior, Haribo.
Aniyor. So bring me, give me more, give me more. That means, so they bought whatever remaining things are there, they all bought all the things also. And after eating Govardhan, again said, Aniyor, give me more, give me more. Then they went and saw what else, everything cooked, they have been offered. Then they got all the raw vegetables and everything, fruits, all the things, and they bought and came. And then that also eaten by Govardhan. And then again Govardhan said, Aniyor, give me more, give me more. So people don't know what to do. Everything we have offered, no, whatever remaining fruits or even raw vegetables, everything. But he's telling Aniyor, give me more, what to do? Then Balaram came there and he bought what Tulsi, and he has offered a Tulsi. Then the Lord said, Trupti. So with one Tulsi leaves, you can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead very easily. Otherwise, it is not possible at all to satisfy him. Very beautiful pastime. And Tulsi was very glorified on this occasion.
So on this occasion, how do we celebrate? Like Prabhupada is mentioning here that devotees have to celebrate that Govardhan Puja. It's a very sweet and beautiful puja. So how do we do is we perform Annakut ceremony. That Annakut ceremony is performed by Madhavendra Puri on top of Govardhan Hill when he found Gopala deity. That pastime is coming in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And also in Guru Maharaj Chaitanya Leela class, Guru Maharaj also told how Madhavendra Puri found the deity, and the deity was established on top of Govardhan Hill. And then he asked for Chandan. Then Madhavendra Puri started traveling towards Orissa. And while coming back, there was so much tolls and all that. All Muslim soldiers were arresting everybody. So he was a little worried with so much sandal, because sometimes they snatch away also. They loot officers. So then Krishna said in the dream that I'm non-different from Gopinath, Shirachara Gopinath. So apply for that Gopinath. So already while going towards Puri, that Gopinath stole some kheer for Madhavendra Puri. So in this way, the Chirachara Gopinath was applied the Chandan and all. So this Gopala was established on Govardhana Hill. At that time, every day, for many days, Annakut ceremony was performed. So what is this Annakut ceremony? How Govardhan Puja is celebrated? Very beautiful. Is you cook a lot of rice. Okay, lot means not so much, according to your own capacity. In the temple, they make like big hill. We can make a small hill in a plate. So what you do is, first you cook rice very purely, take bath and pray very nicely and cook nice rice. And in a plate, make rice hill of rice, annakut. After making the hill of rice, then you can draw the eyes and mouth, nose if required, but mouth and eyes and one small nose we can, with using some vegetables or halwa, whatever, you can put some salads. You can use tomato for lips and all that. So you can make a nice face of Govardhan. And then you can place tulasi and small deity of Krishna or photo of Krishna, Radha Madhava, small one. If you have, you can keep on top of that hill. One small photo. And then decorate with tulasi nicely all over. Or if you don't keep the photo of Krishna also, okay, but you have to keep this offering in front of the Lord and then request him to accept it as Govardhan Hill and Govardhan Puja Prasad. He should do like this. After that, then keep in a table in the center of the room in front of the deity and make arati to Govardhan as well as the lords in your altar and Acharya Parampara. Everybody, including the rice. And consider it as Govardhan Hill. And then show arati and then request the Lord to kindly accept all this boga. And after that, you take the hill and keep it in a table in the front, in the middle, and then you do parikrama. You do chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, chant and go parikrama minimum 4 times. You can go 7 times. Generally, people do parikrama 7 times. So 7 times or 4 times or many times. You go around and singing Hare Krishna Mahamantra and then offer your obeisances and thank the Lord. And then you can, already Arati is over. Now this is Parikrama is over. Then you can distribute the prasadam to everybody. Even it is mentioned here, even animals can be given. You see that the dogs and Krishna, how he is describing, even give to the dogs and cats. There is no. So as far as the lower animals are concerned, all the paraphernalia for Indra Puja you use. So you give ghee also. Ghee, rice, dal, ghee should be there in the decoration, as well as some vegetables. Whatever vegetable, however you want to decorate. And you can make small cups around, like Radha Kund, Shyama Kund, then there are Kusum Sarovar, like that. There are many ponds in Vrindavan. So you can make small cups in which you can pour some liquid dal, juice, and all. Other than that, you can also keep all sabjis. Either you can keep in cups or you can keep it down only decoration or on top of decoration. You can keep all type of sabjis, whatever you prepare. You keep everything and put tulsi on every item. And then the only thing is mainly the rice should be in the form of a hill. That is very important. Instead of simply keeping rice in a cup, you make a hill of rice. That is essential. And then we go around the rice also. Once the arati is over, then we go around the rice also. All of us, all family members, and we offer obeisances, thanking Govardhan so much for appearing in our house. And then we partake the prasadam. This is how we celebrate Govardhan Puja. गिरिराज महाराज की जय
Jai.
पतित पावन शील प्रभुपाद की
जय।
जय वृंदावन धाम की जय
Jai.
निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि
Hari
हरि
Hari Bol.
Wish you all a very, very happy Govardhan Puja. You can do any time in the day, before night. Even you can do in the evening. There's no issues if you're working or something. But before night, 8, 9, you have to do any time in the day. Afternoon also you can do. Morning also you can do. Sometime you should do. Okay. Thank you very much.
Haribol, thank you very much for the association. Anybody wants to share anything? 5. Welcome back, Narottam Prabhu. 4, 3, 2.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
प्रभु 41 श्लोक में नीचे दिया हुआ है, यह लिसन मी वेरी केयरफुली, यह प्रचार की कोई महापुरुष मृत्यु के बाद ईश्वर की भांति पूजा जाता है भ्रामक है, क्योंकि मृत्यु के बाद कोई भी मनुष्य को ईश्वर नहीं बनाया जा सकता और न ही भगवान कभी मनुष्य हो सकते हैं, भले ही वे साक्षात विद्यमान क्यों न हो। तो प्रभु, हम जब इस्कॉन मंदिर जाते हैं तो कृष्ण भगवान के सामने प्रभुपाद की मूर्ति रखी हुई है, तो उनकी पूजा हम लोग करते हैं, तो क्या वो पूजा करना भ्रामक है?
नहीं, हम प्रभुपाद को भगवान नहीं बना रहे, प्रभुपाद को हम भगवान नहीं मानते, प्रभुपाद को हम आचार्य मानते हैं, शिक्षा गुरु, जगत गुरु मानते हैं उनको, शिक्षा गुरु हैं वो, इसलिए वो गुरु प्रणाम है। उनका प्रणाम मंत्र भी गुरु प्रणाम मंत्र बोल के हम करते हैं। और श्रील प्रभुपाद को हम फ्लावर ऑफर करते हैं, जिस तरह गुरु महाराज का पूजा करते हैं उसी तरह श्रील प्रभुपाद को भी पूजा करते हैं। उनको हम आल्टर में भगवान की बराबर में नहीं रखते, कभी वो नीचे रहते हैं, आचार्य परंपरा के साथ रहते हैं। और अलग से मूर्ति हम इसलिए रखते हैं कि वो जगत गुरु है, इस्कॉन का फाउंडर आचार्य है और वो सबका शिक्षा गुरु है। इस जगत के अंदर सबका शिक्षा गुरु जो है वो श्रील प्रभुपाद, और श्रील प्रभुपाद की वजह से ही हम लोग ये कृष्ण भावनामृत पे आए। इसलिए आचार्य परंपरा को आदर करने के लिए हम श्रील प्रभुपाद का कृपा को पाने के लिए उनका किताब हम पढ़ते हैं, उनका बुक भागवतम वगैरह पढ़ते हैं। अगर वो समझ के हमें भक्ति को आगे बढ़ने के लिए उनका कृपा मांग करके हम उनका गुरु के स्थान पे रख के पूजा करते हैं, ना कि भगवान के स्थान पे।
धन्यवाद प्रभु।
थैंक यू, बहुत ही अच्छा सवाल था प्रभु, बहुत ही अच्छा, थैंक यू सो मच। 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0। एंड एक और बात है कि कई लोगों का जो है वो राधा कृष्ण का मंदिर बहुत लोग बनाते हैं, लेकिन वो को कभी उनका नाम से ही वो मंदिर जाना जाता है। कभी सुनते हैं कि बिरला मंदिर है, कभी सुनते हैं राघवेंद्र मंदिर है, लेकिन हम ये नहीं सुनते यहाँ प्रभुपाद मंदिर नहीं है हमारे पास, हम प्रभुपाद मंदिर नहीं बनाते। हम केवल राधा कृष्णा, गौर निताई, पंचतत्वा, प्रहलाद नरसिंहदेव आनंदे और जगन्नाथ बलदेव सोनम सुदर्शन का ही हम मंदिर बनाते हैं। जिस तरह प्रभुपाद जी हमें गाइड करते हैं उसी के अनुसार हम करते हैं, इसलिए प्रभुपाद गुरु है। थैंक यू वेरी मच। सो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर द एसोसिएशन, वंडरफुल all of you wish all of you very, very blissful Giri Govardhan Avirbhav ceremony. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Grandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai. Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavad Satsang ki jai. Giriraj Maharaj ki jai.